Hi, welcome back. So I'd like to introduce you to Google Earth, the free version, which is basically just a visualization software, mapping 3D visualization software. I want to stress that this is not a geographic information system per se. There is a more advanced version of Google Earth called Google Earth Pro where you can do some analysis and more advanced map layouts, but this is really just to explore some simple KML and KMZ data and then visualize it and look around and canyons and mountaintops and other 3D topography that may be of interest. This is just a really quick way to go about doing that. So the first thing we could do here is go ahead and install Google Earth. And if you're working in a lab or you already have Google Earth, then don't worry about this part. And this is just a real bare bones introduction to the Google Earth platform. So let's go ahead and pull up your internet browser and let's search for Google Earth. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and agree to the terms and conditions here. Okay, and then I like to put the setup files in my downloads folder, and I'm using Windows 7 and it'll work just fine on any Mac or Windows or Linux operating systems that you might have. Let's go ahead and hit save and go through the standard steps of installing a program. It's pretty simple and quick. I already have Google Earth, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull mine up. So this is what Google Earth looks like when you first open it up. You can see it's telling us that it has all this data that it's already come with here. So this is our base map that we're looking at essentially. It's the stock base map. It's a bunch of satellite imagery. I'm just zooming in on the San Diego region here. You can see that we have our imagery date, we have our latitude and longitude, where the cursor is, elevation of where the cursor is, and then we can see where our altitude of eye level is that we're looking at. So this is all good stuff depending on what you're trying to do. But let's talk about how we navigate around Google Earth really quick. So you have widgets over here on the right to kind of manually move around. You can change your bearing, north. You can put south up, whichever way you want. Okay. We can pan here. We can zoom in and out. But if you have a mouse, the mouse is the quickest and easiest way to navigate around. So first to zoom in and out with your track wheel, pretty standard. You click your left mouse button and hold it down and you can pan around the screen. Zoom back out. And then you can tilt it too. So I'm holding down my middle track wheel and I'm just moving my mouse around. And this takes a little bit of practice to get control over. But let's go ahead and explore one of these canyons here so that we can understand why this is important. So here's a reservoir here, and alright, so you can see the topography here, which is really nice depending on what you're trying to visualize and understanding these different places and how they are in context with their natural surroundings or other built environment surroundings for that matter. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back out here and get my north back up to the top. Over here on the left we have right here, this is our layers area, and what this is these are sort of stock layers that Google Earth comes with. So zooming back out real quick, I turn on the roads layer and you can see that as I zoom in, more roads start to show up. And this is because these layers are what's called scale dependent. So they're dependent on the scale that we're at. Because if we were way out here, zoomed way out, and all those roads were to show up, the map would be really cluttered and you wouldn't be able to see anything. So because of the scale dependency, we can zoom right on into a neighborhood and start seeing the individual roads here. So moving on, we can look at places. Places is a good one to help get you oriented. So here we can see some different airports. You can zoom in and you can see that these are scale dependent as well. These are just places that either Google has added or even just individual users have added over the years, and Google ultimately approves these things. And so you come up here to UCSD area, and that's pretty much all I want to show you there. So up here in the places, now these are where you're going to add your data to, or your layers. And Google Earth recognizes GPX or GPS files and KML or KMZ files. And so this is where you'll be adding those sorts of files here, and you'll be stacking them up and ordering them however you want. So I already have some layers here, for example. Okay. So the final deliverable product of Google Earth is ultimately either a KML or KMZ file, or you can save it as a JPEG. And so if I was to save what's on my map right now, I would just export this JPEG here. And this is what I would get, is what's inside of this box right here, and it'll tell me the imagery date and my lat and long of the center of the map and the elevation at the center of the map, and then my eye altitude as well. And so as you add more layers, you come to a point where you feel that it's finished and you want to export the map. That's how you would go about doing it. So it's just a file, save image, essentially. You can also print the map, same thing, it's going to do. Moving over here, we can look at, I guess the next big one would be adding points, lines, or polygons. And so you can add text or points and lines and polygons to your map here on top of things. So for example, let's say that I'm doing a study on this airport right here, and I just want to show you the context of this airport relative to everything else. I could draw a circle around it and just point to it and say, hey, look, here's the airport I'm working at, and then export it. And we'll get into this in a little bit here. You can do other things like measure in miles. So I'm going to go from the mouth of the San Diego River up here to this reservoir here. So 12.23 miles as the crow flies. So pretty interesting stuff there. And I think I'll finish off this video here, and in the next one we'll get into adding some data and then actually making some points, lines, or polygon features of some sort, and then exporting a deliverable map.